This is Bob Blackman, MP for Harrow East. Just addressing all my Tamil constituents and all Tamils across the world who come together on the 27th of November to commemorate Tamil National Remembrance Day. We all recall this day as the National Remembrance Day and pay respects to all those who lost their lives fighting for freedom and justice in the island of Sri Lanka. Now, this has many parallels to Armistice Day for all of us in the UK, where both days fall in the month of November and indeed offer us an opportunity to remember those who gave their lives and made the ultimate sacrifice for their nation and so that we can be free. Now, the poppy flower is used to commemorate Armistice Day, and all of us wear the poppy proudly on the 11th of November or on Remembrance Sunday, whenever it falls. But the gloriosa lily, which is a rare flower found in the Tamil homeland, is used in the northeast of Sri Lanka by the Tamil population to commemorate Tamil National Remembrance Day. Now, for decades, the governments of Sri Lanka have sought to enforce their rule on Tamils using discriminatory policies and indeed various tools of repression, including violence, which then led obviously to the very long and bloody civil war, which was brought to an end with a massive bloody conclusion, with 280,000 Tamils incarcerated in camps in order to allegedly retrain and force people into a different view. We still now have 146,000 Tamils unaccounted for, and I think the families of Tamils across the world just desperately want to see an account of what happened to their loved ones at the end of the war. The United Nations, obviously, in the investigations into the final stages of the war, concluded that more than 70,000 Tamils had died in the last 5 months of the conflict alone. This is an issue that's not going away, and we have to remember what happened at the end of that civil war and try and reconcile the different communities involved in that particular conflict. But unfortunately, the government of Sri Lanka appear determined to prevent remembrance, prevent people from remembering what happened and indeed commemorating their loved ones. Instead, we've got symbols of triumphalism and victory celebrations, which lead to pain and anger amongst the affected communities. So Tamils generally have been prevented in Sri Lanka from remembering the fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, sons and daughters that they lost during the Civil War. But since the end of the armed conflict and the Civil War, despite the harassment, intimidation, threat of arrest and violence by the Sri Lankan security forces, Tamils have commemorated their dead in private. And the Tamil diaspora across the world has joined them in the commemoration with much more open and public events. So on this day, in the UK and around the world, those Tamils who fled Sri Lankan persecution come together in their thousands to remember those who lost their lives in the Civil War. So my message is very simple, and that is we will continue to remember those that lost their lives. We mourn with those families who lost loved ones, and indeed for those who still have relatives that are not accounted for. And for closure to happen, we need to know what happened to those people. So let us once again remind people that we will continue this remembrance until the Sri Lankan government face up to their responsibilities to actually bring communities together to account for what happened and indeed cease the hostility towards the Tamil people in general. Bring communities together, enable people to live their lives in a state of peace and harmony. And until that happens, sadly, this will still be a running sore and a scar on the face of Sri Lanka. So, as we commemorate Tamil Remembrance Day, my thoughts are with you, and indeed all your brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, and other relatives who mourn their loved ones.